Welcome to my channel. Subscribe and enjoy my new stories every day. It was an ordinary Thursday evening when the fabric of my marriage began to unravel. The air in our living room was laced with the faint scent of dinner still lingering as I sat down at the dining table, flipping open my wife Lily's laptop to print a document she had asked for earlier. What I didn't expect was to stumble upon a thread that would pull everything apart. The screen lit up, and an unfamiliar tab immediately caught my attention. It was open to a women's forum, an online space Lily often mentioned in passing, where she shared recipes and gardening tips, or so I thought. Curiosity, a dangerous companion, nudged me, and I clicked. The page loaded, and I was met with a string of posts under the username Lilyflower88. The words I read next would be etched in my memory forever, each one a needle to my heart. I'm just so exhausted. Ted doesn't even see me anymore. I think it's time I made a choice between Mark and Joe. They both appreciate me more than Ted ever did. Shock morphed into disbelief. My hands trembled as I scrolled through months of entries, each a candid revelation of betrayal. Lily, my wife of 8 years, was not only unfaithful but was deliberating on which lover to choose while I remained oblivious, thinking we were happy. I sat back, the weight of her words crushing me. How could this be happening? Our marriage wasn't perfect, but I never suspected she was capable of this level of deceit. I heard the front door open and close. Lily was home. My heart pounded, a mix of anger and sorrow flooding through me. As she entered the room, her face lit up in a smile, that same charming smile that had won me over years ago. "Hey, love, did you manage to print out those files for me?" she asked cheerfully, setting down her purse and moving to kiss me. I moved away, her affection suddenly unwelcome. "Lily, what's Lilyflower88?" I asked, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Her face paled, the smile faltering as she followed my gaze to the open laptop. "Ted, It's not what you think. It's just a..." "Save it," I cut her off, my decision crystallizing with her every stammer. "I read everything, Lily. How long have you been cheating on me?" The conversation that followed was a blur of tears, excuses, and confessions. None of it mattered. The trust was broken, and with it, our marriage. Over the next few weeks, I took my revenge, not through loud confrontations or public humiliations, but silently and legally. I contacted a lawyer, filed for divorce, and watched as the life we built together crumbled under the weight of her choices. The day the divorce was finalized, I left the courthouse alone. As I walked away, I didn't look back. Lily had made her choice, and so had I. The chapter of our lives together was closed, never to be reopened. This betrayal was the beginning of my journey, a path lined with pain and resolution, leading to a future where I could hopefully find trust again. But first, I had to navigate the aftermath of this discovery and the impending storms it would bring. The days following the divorce filing were a whirlwind of emotional turmoil and strategic planning. Each morning, as the sun cast its first light through the blinds, I woke to the grim reality of my wife's betrayal. With the bitter taste of deception still fresh, I set about securing my interests, determined not to let anger cloud my judgment. My phone buzzed early one Tuesday morning, a message from Mark, the name I had seen mentioned repeatedly in Lily's posts on the forum. The text was simple and direct: "We need to talk. Today. Joe will be there too." My pulse quickened, not out of fear, but from the adrenaline of facing my adversaries. We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe downtown, a neutral ground far from familiar eyes. I arrived first, claiming a secluded table at the back. Mark walked in shortly, his frame tense and his eyes wary. Joe followed, his demeanor grim. As they sat, the air thickened with unspoken accusations. "Ted," Mark began, his voice low, "I didn't know she was married. She told us it was over between you two." Joe nodded in agreement, his face etched with regret. "Same here, man. We never meant to hurt you. We were told you were practically separated." Their confessions poured out, stories of how Lily had manipulated them both, painting herself as a victim of an unloving marriage. As they spoke, the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together. The late nights she said were spent with girlfriends, the weekend getaways she claimed were for her mental health. All lies. I listened, my expression unreadable. "And now?" I asked, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. "We've ended things with her," Joe said, his eyes meeting mine. "Once we found out about each other, and we realized what was happening." Mark chimed in, "We're here to clear the air. Neither of us wants to be a part of her games anymore." Their words, although meant to offer solace, fueled my resolve. "Thank you for coming clean," I said, my tone even but cold. "I appreciate knowing the truth from you both. But understand, my issue is with her, not you, as long as you stay out of her, and my life." We parted ways shortly after, the meeting ending on a note of strained cordiality. As I walked back to my car, the reality of my situation settled in deeper. Lily's web of lies was more intricate than I had imagined. Not only had she betrayed me, but she had also deceived others, using them as pawns in her selfish game. The following days were a blur of meetings with my lawyer, gathering evidence and securing my assets. But it wasn't just about the divorce anymore, it was about reclaiming my life and integrity from the ruins she had left. Late one evening, as I sat reviewing the divorce papers, my phone lit up with a call from Lily. I hesitated, then answered. "Ted, can we talk?" Her voice was soft, a stark contrast to the chaos she had orchestrated. "There's nothing left to say, Lily," I replied, my voice firm. "Please, I made a mistake. We can fix this," she pleaded. "A mistake? Lily, you made choices. There's a difference. And now, I'm making mine." With that, I ended the call and turned off my phone. The path forward was clear, though fraught with challenges. I knew the road to healing would be long and fraught with obstacles, but for the first time in a long while, I felt in control of my destiny. As the night deepened, I prepared for the next phase, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. The rhythm of my life had now settled into a pattern of legal meetings and preparation. Each day brought a new challenge, but with it, a sharper focus on the future I was determined to secure for myself. I had decided not to let Lily's betrayal define me, yet the road to disentangling our lives was paved with unexpected confrontations. It was on a cool, overcast morning that I found myself at the doorstep of our shared home, a place now riddled with memories of deceit. Today's task was simple yet daunting: retrieve my personal items and documents. I had arranged this with Lily via email, aiming to avoid any direct confrontation, but as the door swung open, there she stood, her presence as disconcerting as ever. "Ted," she started, her voice softer, her eyes not meeting mine. "You don't have to do this alone, I can help." I brushed past her without a word, my steps resolute. Each room was a reminder of a life that once promised so much more. I gathered my things efficiently, placing everything into boxes with mechanical precision. The silence between us was thick, punctuated only by the soft thud of possessions settling into cardboard. "Ted, please, can we talk about this?" Lily's voice broke the quiet, her tone desperate. I paused, a shirt in hand, and turned to face her. "There's nothing left to discuss, Lily. Actions have consequences. You chose yours freely. But I chose," I interjected firmly. "You chose, Lily. Now I'm making my choices." The conversation ended there, with her retreating to the kitchen and me continuing my task. I could feel her eyes on me, the weight of her stare trying to pierce the growing armor around my resolve. But I was determined not to falter. With my car loaded and the house growing smaller in my rearview mirror, I felt a temporary relief. However, this feeling was short-lived. As I drove away, my phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. "Mr. Ted Anderson," a voice inquired, formal and unfamiliar. "Yes, speaking," I replied, my grip tightening on the steering wheel. "This is Detective Marcia Briggs. I'm calling regarding a complaint filed by Ms. Lily Anderson. She's raised some serious accusations against you, Mr. Anderson, regarding harassment and threats. We'll need you to come in for a statement." My heart sank, a mixture of anger and disbelief coursing through me. This was her retaliation, a false accusation to throw me off balance. "I understand, Detective. I'll cooperate fully. But these accusations are completely unfounded," I stated, my voice calm despite the turmoil inside. "I appreciate that, Mr. Anderson. We'll sort this out. Please, come to the station tomorrow morning." The call ended, leaving me with a new set of worries. It seemed Lily was playing a more vindictive game than I had anticipated. Her attempts to manipulate the situation brought a new level of complexity to our separation. That night, I met with my lawyer, detailing the day's events and the new accusation. We prepared meticulously, gathering evidence of my whereabouts and interactions that could refute her claims. "This is a common tactic, Ted," my lawyer reassured me. "We'll handle this. Just stick to the facts and let the evidence speak." As I lay in bed that evening, the darkness of the room seemed to echo the darkness of the situation. Lily's actions had plunged us deeper into a legal and emotional quagmire. But amidst the turmoil, a resolve solidified within me: I would not let her deceit derail my life any further. Tomorrow, I would face the police, armed with truth and integrity. The battle lines were drawn, and I was ready to defend my honor and forge ahead. The morning sun filtered through the blinds of my bedroom, casting long shadows that mirrored the dark mood I carried to the police station. Today was about clearing my name, but also about sealing the fate of the relationship that had once meant everything to me. Detective Briggs greeted me with a professional nod as I entered the interrogation room. "Thank you for coming in, Mr. Anderson. Let's go through the events one step at a time." As the detective walked me through Lily's accusations, my mind sharpened, each question a stepping stone toward my exoneration. I provided receipts, text messages, and eyewitness accounts from neighbors that disproved her claims. The evidence was irrefutable, painting a clear picture of my innocence and her deceit. Detective Briggs leaned back, her gaze intense. "Mr. Anderson, it seems clear you're not at fault here. However, there's something else you should know. We've been investigating Ms. Anderson on a separate matter, financial fraud involving her lovers." My heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "It appears she's been manipulating not just you but also Mr. Mark and Mr. Joe. She's entangled them in some financial schemes, taking loans in their names, among other things." The puzzle pieces fell into place with a satisfying click. This was the leverage I needed, not just to defend myself but to retaliate. "Thank you, Detective. May I use your phone? I need to make an urgent call." With her nod, I dialed my lawyer, quickly briefing him on the new developments. Within hours, we had a plan in motion. Not only would I file for damages against Lily, but I would also tip off Mark and Joe about their involvement in her fraud. Her web of lies would unravel at the hands of her own deceit. Days turned into weeks as the legal battle intensified. Lily's lovers, now aware of their exploitation, joined forces with me in a civil lawsuit against her. The evidence was overwhelming, leading to her arrest and a criminal trial. The final hearing was a spectacle none of us would ever forget. Lily, once so composed, broke down as the list of her misdeeds was laid bare before the court. Her manipulations, her betrayals, her financial deceptions, all exposed to the harsh light of justice. As the judge delivered the verdict, guilty on all counts, Lily's eyes met mine. They were filled with a mix of fury and despair, a silent accusation against the man who had outplayed her at her own game. "I hope you find peace, Lily," I said quietly as she was led away, the words not just for her, but for me as well. This wasn't just a victory, it was a cleansing fire, burning away the remnants of a life I once thought I wanted. Walking out of the courthouse, the weight of the past months lifted from my shoulders. I had not only cleared my name but had ensured Lily would pay for her actions. It was a brutal end to our saga, but necessary. Mark, Joe, and I parted ways, each of us scarred but wiser from the ordeal. As I drove home, the sunset painted the sky in hues of gold and orange, a promise of new beginnings. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, I was driving it on my own terms. In the quiet of my car, I whispered to the fading light, "It's over." And it was. The deception had been revealed, the betrayers punished, and the chapters of betrayal closed forever in the most definitive way possible.